problem when you only have one tee. Hi guys, Dan Hendrickson here at Torquay Golf Club. Hashtag Ask Dan. I've had a question come in via Twitter from a chap called Derek Dixon. So Derek's asked me to do a little compare on tee heights. So he's asked me to see which tee height would be best suited possibly for his game. We're going to hit some shots with 4 different heights of tees. We're going to see if the strike location changes in the driver. We will have a little look at what that does to the actual ball flight, numbers, and report that back to Derek to see if we can get him in the right tee height for his game. So for this experiment we're going to look at 4 different tee heights, but I'm going to use my driver for this experiment to see where on the face I'm striking it. TS3 8.5, set at A1 setting, hazardous smoke shaft 6.0, 60 grams. What it does to the spin numbers on that driver, how it launches, and the distance that we're going to get from it. So let's just show you the tees that we're going to use for this video. So first one's going to be the orange tee. You'll see these step tee orange tee. This is 49 millimeters in height from the bottom of that tee that goes into the ground to the top. Next up is the pink tee. This one here, again from bottom to the top, is going to be 39 millimeters. Then we've got the white tee, which is about 29 millimeters from the bottom to the top. Then we've got the little red tee, which is only about probably 13 millimeters from the bottom to the top. This one's seen better days, to be honest. The first reaction with the orange tee is it's quite high, which is a lot higher than what I would use. I'm just feeling like almost like I want to hover the club a little bit, and also just trying to get the feeling like I want to hit up on it a little bit more. So I don't want to get it too high off the face and almost like sky the club. Already trying to adjust to the tee height, and this is what most people will find when they set up with different tees. Now let's move on with the pink tee. Now this is probably the most common tee that I sell in the golf shop here at Torquay. It's probably the height of tee that I would probably use for the most part. I would probably gain this type of length of tee. Let's have a few hits with this one and see how we get on with the numbers from that. So I instantly feel more confident with this height of tee. Don't feel like I'm going to catch the top of the club too much. Definitely more I'm used to feeling off the face. Not afraid of getting it too high off the face, which is a good feeling to have. Definitely don't want to feel like you're going to catch it off the roof of the club. Don't want to see those scratch marks on it. Okay, next tee up is the white tee. 29 millimeters. Let's hit some shots, see what numbers this gets. So I think I could really quite game this position. It's not particularly too low. I certainly am now getting the feeling going through this test. I much prefer to feel the tee maybe slightly lower than too high. I feel like I've got a lot more control further down the face than I do up top of the face. Right, let's have a go with the red tee now. 12 millimeters high. More of a fairway wood, I think, more so than the driver. Be interesting to see what I actually do, how I react to such a small height. So instantly I can see now that the ball is quite low on the face. Just feel like already I'm going to probably change my angle of attack in order to play this shot off such a low tee. I could probably make it work, but I had to feel like I was really sort of hitting down, a bit like my old swing to a point. So I felt that time that the strike was definitely a lot lower in the face. We'll look at the numbers in a minute, but I just felt like I had to really squeeze on top of it just to get it going. Such a low position. Let's look at the numbers from these different tee heights. So we've got the orange tee to start off with there. You can see launch at 11.2 on an average. Spin at 2.5, so that's a good spin number for me. Total distance 266 average, peak height at 32. You can see here strike, I kind of got the feeling that I was starting to get it a little bit in the heel. 6 millimeters in the heel and 8 millimeters high. I just felt with this tee height that I was so scared of hitting it too high in the face that I almost like leant into it or hovered the club a little bit more, should we say. I wouldn't want to gain that position at all. Just didn't feel like I could get a consistent strike with it. Let's look at the pink tee height now. So 39 millimeters. You can see here launching it at 12.1, so slightly higher in the launch. This I felt really comfortable with. Then spin 2.8, one just popped out there a little bit higher, 2.8, which is good spin. What's that, a couple of hundred revs between the two of them. Then total distance 270, so 4 yards longer with that, and height you can see they're 38 yards compared to 32. Strike location with the pink tee is 2 millimeters in the heel, so a little bit less in the heel, and 6 millimeters high, so slightly lower on an average compared to the orange tee, which is what I would expect. I think possibly this is starting to work more into my optimum area. Pink tee, angle of attack, 2 degrees up, pretty neutral with my path as well, so just feel like I can get it a little bit 1 degree more up on an average compared to the orange tee. Let's look at the white tee now, 29 millimeters. You can see here launch a little bit lower, so 2 degrees, 1.5, 2 degrees lower than what I was getting out of the pink tee. Again, I felt like these 2 tees I could get a little bit more of my optimum, or felt more comfortable with it. Spin 2.7, so 50 revs difference between the pink and the white, so very, very similar. Carry wise 270, so the same carry from what I was getting from the pink tee. Let's look at strike. Again, 2 millimeters in the heel, which is very similar to what I was getting out of the pink tee, and slightly lower in the face compared to the pink, so 3 millimeters lower. Still slightly higher on the face, which is good, which is obviously helping my spin numbers. Angle of attack, so slightly lower in the angle of attack, sort of not hitting up on it quite as much as I was with the pink, but I would expect to see that with a slightly smaller tee, and then path still pretty neutral there as well. So let's look at the red tee now. You can see their launch at 8 degrees, so coming down, 4 degrees difference from probably my optimum of the pink, and the white one 2 degrees difference there as well. Look at the spin rev up now, so spin picks up by another sort of 500 revs compared to the pink and the white tee, and then total carry 253 on an average, and then obviously going a little bit lower with that lower launch. Strike location, very much center of the club, a little bit lower in the face, now moving it more into the toe strike, which is quite interesting, but certainly lower in the face. Now my angle of attack, look at that, 1.9 down, so I've gone from 1.5 to 2 degrees up to now 1.9 down on the ball, so you can see there, and my path gone from pretty much 0 to now starting to go out to in, so definitely getting the feeling with that red tee that I had to feel like I was almost hitting down on the ball, which is creating my angle of attack to come in steeper, my path moving more out to in as opposed to more neutral as what I was getting before with the other 3 tees. So a good experiment. You could see there the way I was reacting as a golfer to the tee that I was using. I think it's important for you to test this at home, but you could see there how as that tee got a bit higher, I was certainly a little bit concerned about hitting it too high in the face and then catching that top of that crown of the club. But then you could see there when I went to the red tee that I was trying to dig it out off that tee peg. I was certainly launching it lower, getting lots of spin and then making it rise up. And it was changing my path as well. My swing was actually changing as I was trying to work with the tee that I had. The 2 optimum ones, which I felt more comfortable with, was the pink and the white tee. I felt like I could game those tees a little bit more. But again, it comes down to strike locations of what you're trying to get. All of those tees you can work with, but be aware, I see so many amateur golfers when they come in for lessons with me here, or fittings, I ask them what tee height they use, and they say, oh, I use a pink tee, or a white tee, or even an orange tee. When I change their height of tee, it can actually change the performance of the club that they're using. Great experiment. Let me know how you get on. Hopefully this helps Derek choose the right tee for his driver, but ultimately, Derek, you need to go out and test this and just see where you're striking it on the club face, and also what makes you feel more comfortable. Definitely a lot more feelings involved with this, but a good test all the same. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Any comments, please put them down below, and look forward to catching up with you again soon. #AskDan.